Hello again, and thanks for joining me in my workshop. The next project I'm taking on is going to be a really serious learning curve. Maybe you've seen my previous video about making an anvil, which I posted a few weeks ago. Well, there were loads of offcuts left, and one such offcut is this little chunk of steel. And I'm going to try and turn this into a blade, maybe even two blades. So, never done it before. Let's see. Hi, so you saw me weld this to the piece of steel. This is a chunky piece that's going to take a while. I might not be able to finish it today. I've just switched off the fan on my forge so that I can actually speak to you. Incidentally, the fan on my forge is my wife's old hairdryer. That's the kind. And I built this, and I can tell you how to do it. It's really not difficult. Right, so I'm now going to switch the fan back on, put this in, trying to get it to forgeable heat, and then hit the hell out of it. All right. The nightmare of the anvil I've got is that it's so small that with a very heavy hammer like this, it's very easy to miss. And as you can see, this is not a blacksmith's hammer, this is a home base 4-pound sledgehammer, so you get tired pretty quickly. As you can see, it is moving. I don't know if you can see from this angle, but I'm hitting it with the edge of the hammer, that angle, because as I learned the hard way, that's the best way, especially with a small anvil, of moving the metal. If you hit it straight like that, all you're doing is flattening and compressing it. But it took me a lot of wasted hammer blows before I learned that. As you can see, it is getting thinner and longer. Oh, only about 4 hours to go, I reckon. Wow, this is something. Right, well, that's all I can do today. As you can see, I am very sweaty. It's not even a particularly warm day. I've managed to move this thing quite a lot. It was very thick, and it's now much thinner. It now looks like something a bit like a golf club, I suppose. Anyway, I desperately wish I had a power hammer. This is a piece of railway track after all. It's really resisting any hammering. But we'll get there, and I've got to carry on, but you know, my right arm's gone now, so I'm going to give it a rest. I'll see you tomorrow. Well, hi again. We're now on day 3 actually, because I couldn't do anything yesterday because it was pouring with rain, but today's a lovely day again, so I'm back at it. This is what I finished with last time we were together. As you can see, it actually looks like a tomahawk blade, but it's only because I couldn't forge this flat. So I've cut off the bar that I had welded onto it to hold onto it in the forge, and so now I'm going to be able to hold this piece with tongs and get that down to a similar thickness, and then I can draw it all out. Then I will probably cut the blade in half and then carry on from there. So the forge is warming up, so let's get going. Hi there. So now I've finished hammering it more or less to size. It's pretty even. I don't know if you can see that properly. It's also got a lot bigger than it was. So the idea now is that I'm going to cut it. It's still very hot. Cut it down the middle like that, so that I've got two billets, and I'll be able to forge hopefully two different blades out of this. So that's the next job. When it's cooled down a bit, I'm going to let it anneal in the fire to get the metal more workable, and then I'm going to cut it, and then I'm going to carry on forging one of the halves. So now I've cut the piece, as I said. I've measured it. It's more or less between 6 and 7 mil all the way across, so I've got something to work with, because I'd probably ideally want the spine to be about 3 millimeters. And so I've got plenty of steel I can move out this way and bring out that way. And as you can see, it now fits into the tongs like this, which means I've got a good grip on it. Okay, so I'll refire up the forge. We're now on the third morning of working on this, and I'm not happy. I was thinking about it overnight, and I was going to make a sort of tanto shape knife, which is a sort of traditional Japanese looking knife, with a hidden tang, which means the piece that goes in the handle would actually be totally hidden within the handle, so it's a sort of long piece like this, and I could have probably done it. But I don't think I've got a big enough blade here. I'm nearly at thickness here, but I've still got quite a lot of metal I can thin out here, maybe stretch out. And so I'm having a major rethink right now. And so a really useful resource when you're starting out is sometimes it's very difficult to visualize the blades correctly. And there is a fantastic site online which gives you templates like this. And you don't have to copy them exactly, but they're really useful to give you a sense of general scale. And I've decided that this is a hunter. This is a classic drop point hunter, and so I've decided that that's what I'm going to aim for, hopefully this sort of size. So I need to get more metal out, and I'm going to go for that sweep, and I'm also going to go for this notch here. It's got a name. I will remember it in a minute, or look it up actually, if I'm telling the truth. And so that's what I want to aim. I need to get more length out of this and less thickness here, and just stretch it out. So that's going to be my goal today. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I screwed it up royally. If you can see that, the fire was too hot and it melted my steel. And I think everything was getting too hot and I messed it up. And I'm feeling a little heartbroken right now. But that's life, and I've got another half of this billet, so I can't really believe I've got to do this, but I'm going to start all over again. So as I mentioned, I have to start all over again because I melted the last piece, and I was kind of, in a sense, very despondent because I thought I was going to have to reforge the big billet I had, but I forgot, of course, I cut a piece off yesterday. And so it's not the end of the world. I mean, it wouldn't have been the end of the world anyway, but so this piece right now is 14.5 centimeters long, and I want to get it to 22, which is why I got the other one. So I best get to work. Quite pleased with the way this bar's come out, actually. I think it was worth starting all over again. I've got the 22 centimeters I wanted. At the moment it's about 25 millimeters across, and I think it is about, where have I put my calipers? It's about 4 millimeters thick, which is pretty good. So what I'm going to try and do now is I'm going to measure out where the tang should start, and I am going to mark that and then start shaping the blade a little bit and work from there. I'm not going to shape the whole tang. I don't have the equipment or the skills. I might try a little bit, but that'll probably be done on the belt grinder. But I'd like to get the blade to the right thickness or a bit more to compensate for grinding, get the general shape and get the tang set. So that's what I'm going to do now. Okay. That's all I'm going to do in the forge. It's starting to look like a knife. I just don't have the skill to finish it any better than that. But I think from now on it's going to be on the belt grinder. Well, that's the end of part one. Thank you so much for bearing with me and my mistakes. In the end, that mistake turned out to be quite beneficial because between the first attempt and the second attempt, I clearly had learnt a few things, and the second version of the blade turned out a lot better than the first. So these things happen. Anyway, please remember to subscribe and click the bell button next to the subscribe button, and that way you'll know when the second part of this video is up. Thank you so much again. Stay safe.